Hi, I'm Matt Sprague, host of the Connected Construction Show, and I have a special announcement for our audience. This November 7th through the 9th, Trimble is hosting their Dimensions User Conference at the Venetian in Las Vegas. And they've just given us 2 tickets valued at over $1,700 each to give away to our audience. So how can you win? Simply share your favorite episode on any social media platform using the hashtag CCShow_favorite and include why that's your favorite episode, and you'll be eligible to win. The shared post with the most amount of likes will win 2 free tickets to Dimension 2022. 5 runners-up will receive a special Connected Construction Show t-shirt and sticker, so get out there and share your favorite episode before October 21st. We will announce the winner live on the show Tuesday, October 25th. Again, share your favorite episode on any social media platform using the hashtag CCShow_favorite and include why that's your favorite episode before October 21st in order to have a chance to win the 2 tickets to Dimensions in Las Vegas. Good luck and stay connected.
From Trimble Construction, you're listening to the Connected Construction Show, where we connect you to the contractors, owners, designers, engineers, and construction professionals who are finding better ways to work. And now, here's your host, Matt Sprague.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Connected Construction Show. I am your host, Matt Sprague. Very excited to have everybody here, listening to us, watching us. Very excited, equally excited to have our guest this week, Mostafa Elashmawy, who is the Senior GIS and BIM Manager for WSP. Mostafa, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt. Happy to be here with you.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background, what you do at WSP, what your passions are in construction or even outside of construction.
Okay. So basically, I'm a civil engineer, graduated 10 years ago from Alexandria University in Egypt. I somehow quit the civil engineering work recently, focusing only on BIM. However, I started my passion with BIM, GIS, and digital solutions for construction back when I was at college. At that time, I started learning mainly through online resources till I started working in several roles related to BIM and GIS. I worked at the side of production where I had to produce BIM models. I have to do the coordination, 4D, 5D, all the kind of production things of BIM. And then when I joined WSP, I moved to the project management side of things where we are, I'm part of a project management services department where we help our clients in managing their projects from concept to handover, and sometimes with the later stages also. Me personally currently is looking after the digital deliverables, including BIM and GIS.
So where in the world are you?
I'm calling you now from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I have lived here for around 9 years now. I'm Egyptian, but living in Saudi Arabia. In the Middle East, I think things are a bit different from your side, especially for the time difference. And I think the Middle East in general have a common nature where being here in Saudi Arabia give me some accessibility to other countries in the Middle East also, where I find lots of similarities in digital side.
Gotcha. All right, so let's dive into it. So we had a pre-show workshop, if you will, where we chatted and we talked about, hey, what do we want to talk about? And you were talking about this idea of construction as a product. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, and really do me a favor start with the basics, kind of idiot-proof this conversation for me anyway, and then we can kind of dive into the details.
Okay. So generally, when we look at fabrication and in industries that involves the factory work where products are actually things that are done in a controlled environment, we find that they are way more advanced in controlling the products. While in construction side, when we work on site, it's very hard to control aspects like quality, like let's say safety, and among other aspects. So why I like the concept of having construction as products is because being able to fabricate most of what we will construct in controlled places like factories, precast elements, for example, is giving us the ability to better control the time, the cost, the waste, even we can enhance materials, make lots of development to the ways we are producing our work. So this takes us to things that's already happening nowadays, which, as I mentioned, precast elements or even steel products, where you have the site is only like an assembly project where you have everything that's already done in the factory and then transported to site and then it's erected. So this concept can be developed much more in the near future, and it's developing. This is including where we have an opportunity not only to precast a beam or a column or even a wall, but precast a full building or a full flat or a full house, where you have the ability to go your factory, choose the model that you want to be your future home, and then it's being fabricated and then transported, moved to your house. This will give us also the opportunity not only to construct easily, but to demolish easily, or in that case it will be just dismantling, removing the building or the flat or sometimes a room that we no more want it in the same way it is, and replace it by another unit that can be used based on our future needs. So that's how I look at construction as a product, where you have the freedom to choose, build in controlled environment, and then to be able to do changes as your lifestyle change.
So it sounds like it has a really big sustainability implication as well.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, it connects to how we should be building our buildings, not only for these days or for our next 20, 30 years, but also for thinking for the future generations, where we design our buildings to sustain and live for hundreds of years, where whenever change happen, it can be done with a minimal demolition and minimal waste.
Yeah, I would imagine it's also like the embodied carbon would be a heck of a lot less in terms of like definitely the true like lifespan of the asset, where it's modularized. Maybe you don't need to replace the entire piece of the entire asset, but like you said, you can kind of swap things in and out, which obviously would have a massive impact on that.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, when I first read about this concept, I just imagined how we were playing with Lego while we are kids, and how it triggers our imaginations to the possibilities that we can have in our buildings and how this can be changed. And I'm not telling that it's super easy, but I think if we thought and spent a lot of time designing how our building can change, it will be then easy to implement these changes in the future.
Cool. So we're big on storytelling here and sharing kind of case studies. So I'd love to, if you have like an example that WSP and that you had been involved in, tell us about a particular project that had been involved with that leveraged a concept like that.
Look, not the full concept is implemented. There are some cases, not in the Middle East, where WSP implemented this concept. However, I would speak about a less complex example that I contributed in. But again, it was not with WSP, it was in my previous position, where we were building a warehouse for Riyadh Metro project. And on that project, the concept was to have a steel hanger, but then we recommended using concrete because my company was more professional on that, and it found it more economic to use concrete. But when we thought about it, we thought about using precast concrete so that we don't let's say we don't ruin the concept of the pre-construction of these elements. And it was a huge challenge to do what you are doing with the steel with concrete elements. But we developed it in a very controlled way, where we designed the structural skeleton fully as precast elements. And we were doing it with support of BIM, where we made several scenarios till we reached the proper structural system and defined the modules that will be used. So at the end, during or through the whole area, we used around 10 modules of structural elements only, and we were able to take changes through the construction when we have received some changes that led us to require to change some structural elements, and dismantling what we erected and replacing it with new design elements was super easy due to the implementation of the precast concept. This can be a bit simple example, but it's exactly matching the same concept, where the change of elements in the future was easy, because we accounted for the stitching between elements to be in an easy way that can be changed whenever needed.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's the concept of a fully prefabricated, modularized project is still in its evolution, and it's about figuring out all the different pieces of it individually, and then the bigger picture is at some point in the future is that we will have maybe there's never going to be a 100% prefabricated building, because there's going to have to be something done on site.
Sure.
We don't have big enough cranes to put a high rise, just drop a high rise from a factory onto a foundation.
Exactly.
But it's the idea is that the long term we'll be able to add more and more elements to it, which would then just increase the efficiencies of the entire project.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think there are other obstacles here where you can't force everybody to use just repeated and pre-made modules that's more economic. There is some projects that would require some innovative designs that would need new, maybe modular also, but new modules to be developed, and sometimes the practicality of creating these modules would lead us to just doing it on site.
Yeah, and that becomes, from the owner's perspective, that's a business decision, right? Be like,
Yeah,
hey, you can
exactly.
have this one that costs this much, or if you want that special custom made, feature, it'll just cost you more. And so I guess it all depends on the type of owner that you're dealing with in terms of what kind of makes them tick, so to speak.
Exactly.
Cool. So WSP has this thing called Future Ready. I think I've got that. I think that I have that correct.
Correct.
WSP is kind of like global innovation program.
Yeah.
So like, tell us a little bit about that, and from your perspective, how do you see it adding value to the industry?
Okay. Future Ready is, as you mentioned, an innovative program where WSP tries to design for the future. Once we are onboarded in WSP, we learn that it's a strategic goal for WSP to get their clients and their projects accounting for the future. We try always to consider that our buildings will live for hundreds of years. If we can be a bit realistic, we can say at least 150 years, let's say. So we try to think about how will the communities be after 150 years. We try to see how what new utilities would be developed by then, what new transportation systems would be developed by then, what kind of new habits the societies will have. So in WSB, we try to take this into all our projects and communicate with our clients to get our ideas about this. We have our internal teams working on Future Ready, trying to analyze the future trends, where it classifies it based on four main pillars: the society, the technology, climate, and resources. Under each of these pillars, we try to find how the future will be, and then try to implement new methods and procedures in nowadays designs to be ready for the future. So this is, from my point of view, it's how humanity used to work thousands of years ago, when, for example, old civilizations like Egyptians and so were building buildings that's living till today, and we as humanity used to do this till maybe 100 or 200 years ago, when we felt that our resources will never end. We thought that we have plenty of resources, so we started building without thinking about how limited our resources will be. But now, with the challenges facing the humanity, it's important to account for these kind of things, especially with climate changes, with the increased population of Earth. So there should be somebody thinking for the future, not for now.
Oh, that's really interesting. So I'm going to kind of change topic a little bit. So BIM and bidding.
Yeah.
So what's your vision for the future of the bidding process? I think it revolves around the expanded utilization of BIM. So I think we are of very like-minded individuals here. So I'm excited to kind of hear your thoughts on this.
Actually, this is one of the topics that I really like to talk about, because I feel that there is less awareness low awareness of this topic in the industry. I see BIM in biddings from two perspectives, or two main aspects. The first is how BIM can support biddings. That's the first aspect. And the second aspect is how BIM is treated in biddings, how BIM is requested from bidders at bidding stages. And both topics or both aspects are very important to me. During my work as a production, I try to make 3D models, 3D BIM models loaded with information at very early stages. When we, as a company, received bidding requests, we try to build our 3D model with all the information, material, rates, everything, and try to prepare our bidding proposals based on this accurate information. When we implemented this aspect at biddings, it gave us superiority in the bids that we took. At the time when we started this, our bids were much higher than our bids after implementing this concept, because before implementing this, there was uncertainty that needed us to put extra margins to cover any unpredicted situations or unpredicted details that we didn't account for. For example, what if we needed extra steel supporters for MAB systems and so on. But when we started modeling, we understood where exactly would we need these additional supports, where we would need extra supports for gypsum board walls and so on. So we went into details of the design while we are still at bidding stage, and that helped us to get into better bids. And implementing BIM at bidding stages can be used by all teams. It can support the planning teams, it can support the cost estimations teams, and also it supports the decision makers in the company. On the other hand, the other aspect where BIM as a requirement, BIM as a deliverable at bidding stages, we face a challenge when we try to implement BIM requirements in current biddings. So our clients tell us we need the consultants and contractors to deliver their designs and their construction drawings in BIM, but they don't specify anything more. So we try to raise the awareness of our clients on the importance of having information requirements at bidding stage. And my vision on this is as equal to, or it's exactly the vision of ISO 19650, the international standard. The international standard ISO 19650 specifies certain steps that any client should go through to set up his BIM requirements and information requirements in general. So we try to work with our clients to start very early by specifying their BIM objectives and BIM goals. Why do they need BIM, and what part of BIM is more important for them? Are they concerned about site coordination? Are they concerned about design coordination? Are they concerned about cost or time planning? Or in some cases, our clients would give a lump sum project to bidders. So maybe they are not interested to see the interim submissions. Maybe sometimes they are only concerned about the handover model, the as-built model, or the asset information model. So it's very important for the clients to decide what exactly they need from BIM and why they need it, and then start specifying how it can be delivered, what is the level of information need for each deliverable. For example, if they need a submission at design stage, they need to specify exactly what need to be in this submission. Do they need the models to be used for visualization or not? Do they need to include cost information in these design models or not? So it's a huge challenge, and unfortunately we faced many cases where the misconception of BIM, just using the word BIM without detailing what's exactly needed, caused lots of waste in time and cost. I can say lots of examples if we have time for that, but the most funny example that I faced was when we were requested by some client to develop an LOD 400 model, and they requested to model the reinforcement inside these elements, and the reinforcements would make these models very heavy. It was a bridge, and it had a huge amount of reinforcement bars and couplers and huge system inside. But then when we negotiated with a client, we reached a decision where the client said, I don't care really. So the BIM manager from the client requested this reinforcement to be done, but to be done in BIM. But the client, as construction managers, as site managers, they didn't care about this. So it was important at this case that the BIM requirements not only to be available, but also to be communicated across all the teams of the client, so that everybody can have the same understanding of these requirements and agree that, yes, that's what we need to be delivered. So I think that's it.
Totally when it comes to BIM, I think in general, the bidding process, it's interesting to start to think about that, because a lot of times it's people purely just, BIM design collaboration, like, making sure that we're all working off of the same design. But it really is, it's not just a design collaboration, it's the entire project lifecycle collaboration vehicle that can be leveraged in so many different areas. So whether it's bidding, I mean, there are technological limitations when it comes to utilizing BIM for bidding. Is that I'm by no means an expert, but I don't believe that there are bidding tools that are connected to BIM tools. So it would be like, I'm sure there are integrations and you can bring things in and whatnot, but wouldn't it be interesting that if that design collaboration was just in the same area where all of the contractors, subcontractors can come in to manage their bids off of that design?
Yeah, I agree. And there are some tools that maybe are not mature enough at the moment, but they are working on this concept where BIM models and the elements inside these BIM models can be linked with many items in the bidding process. Like, for example, what specification is needed for these elements, what vendors are available for these elements, and so on. So embedding this information in the BIM model and then linking it with other let's say platforms that can be used for bidding. So there are some tools. It's not 100% perfect, but people are working on this. Yeah.
Cool. So I wanted to make sure we're believe it or not, we're running out of time for this episode. But I want to make sure that I had an opportunity to, or rather you had an opportunity to maybe plug. So you're going to be presenting at Autodesk University in September.
Yeah.
And I believe, unless your session has changed, is Microsoft Power BI to maximize BIM and GIS integration.
Yeah.
So you want to, without giving away everything that everybody needs to attend to listen to you here, can you tell us a bit more about the session and the concepts that you're looking to cover?
Sure. So the concept is about how we can get people without any BIM or GIS experience to navigate through and get the information and link it with their daily needed requests and information. So it all started when I joined WSP and started supporting the clients on project management side. And at that time, I realized that not everybody is BIM expert. Not everybody can have access to the GIS software, and if they have the access, they will not be able to get the information they need from it. And no matter the training that you do, because sometimes it's an extra load for them. People have other duties and other tasks. So I started developing some dashboards that's linking GIS layers with the daily progress information, with cost information, with some other topics related to the specific project that I'm working on, related to heritage and culture, related to construction permits. So I started linking these GIS layers with this information on a Power BI dashboard and made it available on SharePoint. On the other hand, I also worked on linking the BIM models from BIM 360 to Power BI and to the same information and other information also related to coordination, clash detections, and so using other software or a plugin called VCAD. So by providing this, I made an easy access to the people that don't have time to learn deeply about BIM and GIS to be able to get the information from it. So that helped me in developing the concept of don't be the source of truth. You need to get every people easy access to the single source of truth without being the single source of truth. Because when you are the only BIM manager in a team, for example, of 60 people, you will get tons of requests about information buried inside the BIM models. And you, instead of responding to all these requests, you need to get this information to the team where they can access it easily.
Awesome. So any of our listeners, again, if you're attending Autodesk University, the session is Microsoft BI and to maximize BI. Oh goodness, I'm tongue tied here. To maximize BIM and GIS integration. So be sure to check that out. Put it on your calendar as a must see. So we're actually at our final question. So Mostafa, we ask every single guest, what is a motto that they live by? Or if you don't live by a motto, that's okay. What's a motto that you have heard that you find interesting?
Yeah, actually, it was the first statement that I read in a course that I took for information management. It was by BRE, and it was those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So this is a famous quote, maybe by George Santayana. I think there are many authors that claim that they have this quote, but I find it very related to my daily work, because sometimes we think that we are the best innovators and we can develop everything from scratch. But looking for lessons learned and trying to learn from the history of our colleagues and our peers will help us a lot to save lots of time, lots of effort. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. We need to learn from the shared experience from all the experts in the industry to try to build on this history and lessons learned so that we can reach the best.
I love it. And that's basically the spirit of this show, right?
Yeah.
Is hopefully listeners and watchers are tuning in on a weekly basis to learn from others, right? To get perspectives on topic. Maybe it's new topics, but topics maybe they're involved in on a day-to-day basis. And it's good just to hear a diverse opinion on certain things. So that's a great one. Thank you so much for sharing it. And Mostafa Elashmawy, thank you so much for joining us. I know our listeners are thankful as well. And everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, stay connected.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Connected Construction Show. For more information, visit us at connectedconstructionshow.com.